Good afternoon. Happy Monday, VV Nation. Hope everyone had a great weekend. We're going to kick things off this week. You can see, Joey, can they see behind me the image of Glenn?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Yep, let's go ahead and do that. Now, the alert will be hitting in just a moment. Just let me know if you can hear me, you can see me. Put a VV in the comment section. If you can hear me, you can see me. We got Joey in the background today. Thank you, Bill. Great strategy of the week. Quite useful. Yeah, I thought, looking for, everyone's trying to figure out what the top of this market's going to be. And, no one's got a crystal ball, but looking for bearish divergences can kind of give you a sense of, when this rally could be potentially coming to an end. So I thought that would be a good, useful skill. All right, everyone can hear me. Everyone can see me. I see people making their way into the room right now. So with that being said, I made this announcement last week, but if you weren't present, if you weren't watching one of the live streams, actually this live stream last Monday is where we got the idea. There has been a lot of people asking how they can help, how they can show their love. VectorVest CEO Linda Royer worked within conjunction of his wife, and there's a GoFundMe account. The link is right up there, and Joey, can you just put it in the comment section when you get a chance? Ultimately, it's just VectorVest.com/Glenn. So as far as, any kind of update, it's going to be the same as last week. He's in the rehabilitation center just trying to, regain his strength. And obviously, everyone's in a different position. If you're not in a position to give, he's a believer in the power of prayer. So just, send him a prayer, send him some positive energy. That is just as good. Ron says, what happened to Glenn? He had a stroke in June, Ron. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news there. But yes, he did have a stroke in June. He's recovering from that stroke, and now he's in a rehabilitation center, with the help of his family and friends. And actually a lot of coworkers here have been to, rotated to see him and give him support. All right, Joey just put it in the comment section. Again, it's just VectorVest.com/Glenn. It'll take you right over to the page for the GoFundMe if you would like to assist him and his family. All right, let's get started off with the week here. Big week. Yes, Ron, is quite astonishing news. All right, let's get into it here. Let's get right to the VectorVest 7 software. We're going to take a look at the home page here real quick. Actually, let me get rid of the color guard and the MTI. All right, there we are. I got the homepage of the VectorVest 7 software. We can see the major indices moving in positive territory. The only one here, VectorVest Composite, slightly to the downside, right? I'm not surprised the market is taking a pause. We talked about this last week. We're going to jump into some stories, but there's a lot of big, not only economic data, the Fed is going to announce their interest rate decision on Wednesday, but a lot of big earnings this week, a lot of big earnings. Fred said, I was wondering, get well soon. Yes, Fred, definitely. He's been in our prayers a lot lately. Amir, please give my regards to him. I'm praying for his fast recovery. He is a fighter. He will be in conference in Vegas with God's will. Yes, that is up to the higher power there. All right. So that being said, looking at the homepage here, I'm not surprised we're seeing the pause in the market, right? So if you're looking for momentum in some of the large caps or just in the market in general, probably not going to see that till probably Wednesday when a lot of that data comes out. So let's go ahead and take a look. I got some news stories here. And most of the stocks in the watch list today are going to be earnings related. So when we go to your stock picks, try to refrain from putting those stocks back into it, because I'll probably just skip over it since we're already going to be looking at some of these here. All right, earnings calendar. This is the big thing this week. Today, pretty slow. We got Welltower, Waste Management Systems, Cadence Design. I put Cadence Design in the watch list here. Nothing real, too big going to shake the market today. Tomorrow, the one interesting one I have on my radar is United Health Group. Right, they had the investigation announcement last week. The stock dropped 5%. Again, obviously the stock's way down. I know some people have been doing some bottom fishing on it. My big concern has been from the valuation standpoint. The valuation's almost, I think, if I remember correctly, it's been slashed in half. just in the last 3 to 6 months. So we'll go to the VectorVest 7 system, because what originally could have been a pretty good bottom fishing opportunity, may still be, obviously. There's just a lot of volatility in it right now, and last time I looked, it was approaching the new low. So we'll see if earnings, because again, earnings is going to be a big factor of this stock. If buying the dip on United Health Group was worth it or not. Tabby says only 3 days left of the July high. They are leaving it late this year. We'll take a look at the VectorVest. Well, the VectorVest composite did hit a new end-of-day high. NASDAQ hit a new high. S&P hit a new high. Dow Jones, if I remember correctly, still lagging, but that's probably because of United Health, right? If United Health didn't, pretty much crash, right? They probably would have hit a new high. Yeah, toilet stock, I'm in that mindset. So given that situation, I think the July highs are in, right? But we'll take a look at those charts and see. But this is where things get interesting. And again, there's a million ways to play this space. I would probably prefer options, especially if you own a bunch of these stocks and you want to collect some extra premium. Look at this. We got Microsoft Wednesday after the bell, Meta after the bell, Qualcomm, ARM Holdings, Lam Research. All of these stocks are put in a watch list today. So we'll take a look, their forecasted data, their valuation, see if there's any good opportunities leading into earnings. But again, I'm not of the mindset of buying a stock right before earnings. If you do, maybe do like a buy right, put some insurance on it per se. It's because the next day, look, we've got Apple and Amazon, right? I also got MasterCard here. I believe I put that in the watch list today. But between Wednesday and Thursday, a lot of big names. 4 out of the 7 Mag 7 stocks, right? 4 out of the 7 Mag 7 stocks. See your Friday, probably not a whole lot. Yeah, oh, that's right. It was oil. Oil is big. If you're holding oil stocks, which, that's on you. XOM, Chevron, is probably going to make, some big moves when it comes to the oil market there. There's 2 of the biggest players. So we're put those in a watch list as well, and we'll take a look here. Amir says, amen, Brian, missing him too much is too sad. What do you mean by that, Tamir? Dow Jones within 0.2% of new high despite UNH. So yeah, so even though it's lagged behind, Bill, it's still really close, 0.2%. So we'll see, if there's really any. Well, when's the first? Friday. So the last day of the month would be Thursday. Fed decision, big earnings. We'll see. There's definitely a good chance. The volatility for sure is going to help. Yep, I hold CVX, EOG, CNQ. CVX finally closed the Hess acquisition, so now they have access to offshore Guyana oil. Okay, nice, Pennywise. Prayers go out to Glenn and his family. Thank you, Furby, for that. But again, if earnings was not on your agenda this week, it was not on your radar, put this stuff on your radar, because this can definitely cause some volatility going into the week. And on top of that, I got the economic calendar here. Let me zoom in so we can all see a little bit better. Today, nothing. Tomorrow, we've got some big stuff coming out. Consumer confidence and job openings, right? After that is Wednesday. We've got the ADP employment data. We've got GDP data, right? GDP data, if this comes in negative, that means we're in a recession by that measurement, right? On top of that, interest rate decision. And I have a feeling, and I'm not surprised, that GDP data is coming in right before the interest rate decision, right? So if it's positive, and you can see here the estimate, median forecast, 2.3%. Now last time, because of the tariffs and all the uncertainty, it went negative, right? So right now, as long as it goes into positive territory, doesn't have to be 2.3%, but as long as it's positive, hey, we're out of recession, and that could play a role in the Fed's interest rate decision. Now, come Thursday, we've got initial jobless claims, employment cost index, right? Inflation data. And then Friday, we've got U.S. unemployment. So a lot of employment, inflation data, interest rates. So again, it's going to be a volatile, it's probably going to be a pretty bumpy ride. But by the end of the week, wait for the dust to settle, we should see which direction this market is going into, right? Are you expecting them to be awful? what do you mean by that? Are you expecting them to be awful? The reports? The reports aren't bad. You can see the reports here as far as ADP unemployment on Wednesday, 82,000 in the positive compared to negative 33,000, right? So if we get that, I mean, anything's better than the last one negative, right? But if we get 82,000, if we can avoid any kind of, negative GDP, get a recession, and maybe get an interest rate cut with some strong earnings from the Mag 7, the market just might jump to the upside. That's my guess. We'll see what happens, but that would be my guess. There's a lot of information coming in here. If we look at initial jobless claims coming in at 221, previous 217, so not far off from where we were. Friday, unemployment rate, look at this. U.S. employment rate, 102,000 compared to 147,000 before. I'm still optimistic for the week. I'm still going to be optimistic for the week. Highly certain, no change with interest rates at meeting Wednesday. If I had to guess, it's hard to say because of the pressure. Do I think we need an interest rate cut? Not right now. Do we get one? It's hard to say. Just obviously with the current administration and the pressure they're putting on the Federal Reserve, I'm not going to play a guessing game. But me personally, I would think if that GDP data comes out positive and we're out of recession, I don't see the need for interest rate cut, especially going right into this 15, 20%, or we don't really know what the tariff situation is right now. But I don't think increasing demand through an interest rate cut, because that's going to increase demand on the market, right? And hindering supply at the same time through, tariff situation, because again, we don't know all the details, and China hasn't been, announced yet, and that might be another factor. What if we get some kind of China deal before Wednesday? So we'll see what happens. Fed rates will continue to be higher for longer. Penny-wise, that is my mindset. I think that's the best decision right now, because the last thing we need to do is cut rates and have supply shocks with tariffs, because the prior tariff situation, pretty much they put them on the table and then took them off the table, right? So we never really felt those supply shocks. We never really felt any potential for pricing shocks as well to the market. They reined that back in pretty quick after the first quarter GDP came in negative. I don't blame them. I see something about extended China deal another 90 days. I have not seen that. The China trade war is killing UPS right now. Another 90 days. Interesting. I imagine that's probably a very complicated deal. We'll see what comes of it. I'm not sure what happened at the China trade meeting, because they just met, was it Geneva, right? Aren't they meeting today or over the weekend? I know it was very recent. If not, I'm pretty sure it was today. But again, we'll see if any news comes out, and that's probably could play a role in the Federal Reserve. But again, the Federal Reserve is mostly looking at the unemployment or just employment data and growth, right, and inflation. So we'll see what happens there. Now, as far as tariffs, global baseline tariff will likely be 15 to 20%, right? This came out today. His comments come days before his August 1st tariff deadline, which is Friday. And dozens of countries will still have not reached trade deals with the United States. We're going to be setting a tariff, essentially, the rest of the world, and that's what they're going to pay if they want to do business in the United States, because you can't sit down and make 200 deals. I get that point. It'd probably take some time to go through each country and aligning a deal. So hitting the major markets, Mexico, Canada, EU, Japan, China, and then the rest. I know some other countries got a little bit more attention, Taiwan obviously being one of them. So we shall see. Yes, the meeting wrap up with the U.S. Day. Okay, I thought it was going on right now as we speak. Again, I'm not sure what the Fed's going to do just because of the pressure, but I'm of the mindset if we don't get that negative GDP report, if we're not in a recession, I don't want an interest rate cut because I don't want any more inflation in the market right now. Trump announces EU trade deal with 15% tariffs, right? So it sounds like, so before, the tariff numbers there were everywhere, right? We heard from 10 to, 160%, or got up there pretty crazy with China, right? that is nothing compared to what the initial shocks were of, 50% here, 100% there on certain countries, 10, 15, 20%. I think the market can absorb that pretty quickly. Bill says 15, 20% car. Well, I'm not going to read that part from Trump's. Bill, no, I'm not saying all that stuff. ABB, India, Canada, Mexico, next. Well, I did see something where they're trying to do like a Mexico, Canada, pretty much revamping, what was it, the North Atlantic trade agreement, NAFTA. I think there should be some kind of provision for that. I think it would just benefit all three of our countries as far as trade and supply chain security, I should say, supply chain security. In fact, we still don't even have an ACT deal with Japan, just a non-binding agreement. Is that what it is? It's non-binding? I didn't really look into the Japan deal too much. Let's see here. All right, so Trump did the 15% tariffs. Okay, so most of today's focus was going to be on the earnings and on these tariffs. But this I saw interesting. AMD, I love AMD. Look at this. Reportedly hikes the price of its MI350 AI accelerator by a whopping 70%. Again, AMD was late to the party, right? NVIDIA was way ahead of them. They just started releasing their AI chips, and now, apparently, they think they get a lot more money for them. 70% price increase. Confident it can compete with NVIDIA's top-end Blackwell GPUs. That's a huge game changer for the company. I was looking at AMD. It's like in the 170s now. I think it was 174 last time I was looking at it. And I've told you guys a million times, if you didn't listen, you didn't listen. But NVIDIA's days, well, I'm not going to say it can never get a bag, but it's got to do a lot more work to get a bag, go from $3 trillion to a $6 trillion market cap. I think the last time I looked at AMD, it was around a quarter trillion, about 250 billion. With the price action now, probably about 300 billion. We'll take a look at it and see. But even if it gets to $1 trillion, that's 3 bags in the making right there, right? If it gets to $2 trillion, if it does compete with NVIDIA, the stock's going to blow up, right? So again, I know NVIDIA is the powerhouse player, but if you want the bags, I've been saying AMD is probably your best bet. A little bit more risk, obviously. And just to make sure, this article, penny-wise, yeah, not a bad idea to hold both AMD and NVIDIA. And penny-wise, I'm not going to disagree with that. Hey, if you want to throw a little TSM in there, make yourself a little ETF of the dominant players, maybe a couple others, ARM, Micron, that's on you. But I think the dominance of your holding, obviously NVIDIA's going to be the safest. AMD, obviously a safe pick, but it's got the growth perspectives, right? Tariff with the island of penguins soon. I can't with y'all in the comment section. But just to make sure, 'cause, you can't trust everything you read on the internet. But I did a second article here, and look, they did confirm nearly 70% increase on the average selling price. It's still cheaper than its counterpart product from the tech giant NVIDIA, right? So if they do get to the point where NVIDIA can make the same caliber, because it sounds like they're getting pretty close right now, and they seem pretty confident if they're going to raise their price 70%, right? It's not a small potato by any means. That means, they feel confident enough. I feel confident in AMD. If they're willing to, raise their prices 70%, because AMD is always seen as the, just a cheaper version of NVIDIA. Yeah, it might not be as powerful, but depending on what you're doing, you probably don't need all that power. And it's a much cheaper price. But you see, look, price indicates that AMD is seeing demand for its AI products, right? And it also suggests that a high increase shows that the company's quarterly revenue numbers may reflect notable growth. In terms of performance, Instinct 350 accelerators claim to rival NVIDIA's Blackwell B200 and has been a leading offering by the company. Wells Fargo analyst Aaron Rakers reiterated their recent positive preview in which they increased their AMD data center graphics processing unit or GPU estimates, right? We're all using AVL for our Broadcom exposure. Okay. Those Madagascar, you guys in some penguins right now. I hold NVIDIA, Broadcom, TSM as my semiconductor exposure. Broadcom is a good play. I just kind of put Broadcom in the NVIDIA category. It's already over $1 trillion market cap. each bag is just going to be harder to get than, AMD with the smaller market cap. But actually, we'll take a look at these market caps in just a moment. It's been a little while, and obviously I know the stocks have grown up quite a bit. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go into the VectorVest 7 software, see where we're at now. Still, look, this is about what I expect, right? So if you're day trading right now, especially, the Qs or, the SPY, especially if you're doing options, once your trade is done, leave it, because the market's not going anywhere, and you could just get killed by your theta or time decay. The market's not moving. I don't expect it to move tomorrow a whole lot. That's just my personal opinion. Wednesday, we'll probably get some big moves, right? Some volatility will pick up. Thursday, that volatility will even pick up even more with earnings and more economic data. Friday, we'll figure out where the dust settles, right? But in my opinion, I think it's going to settle to the upside. I chose Broadcom over AMD only because of its dividend growth. And penny-wise, yes, that is another factor, right? If you want to incorporate dividends, AMD is not going to be the dividend stock. What is the new NVIDIA? I would think the new NVIDIA is probably AMD. What other company is poised to be the next NVIDIA? AMD. And it's a fraction. Let's look at the market caps. Palantir. Well, I'm not going to say Palantir is not the next NVIDIA. And I guess when I said the next, I mentioned a semiconductor stock. But yes, it does look like Palantir as far as the, from the software side of things, because NVIDIA, AMD's hardware. From the software side of things, Bill, I'm not going to disagree with that with Palantir. I just hear so many things about the company. I really like to see, the PE multiple get a little bit better. It's just not a value play. Palantir has been making higher highs lately. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. All right, so these are all the stocks reporting plus AMD. AMD is actually going to be next week. So keep that in mind as well. AMD is next week. As far as these positions here, where are you going to see value? I've got value divided by price. Value, Meta, we got value here. Qualcomm, that's actually it. Everything else is overvalued here. We can see price, 156, value, 110. Even the oil companies are trading at a premium right now. And a lot of times with the oil companies, there's just a lot of value that I've seen in the oil stocks. So I was kind of surprised. Palantir's PE will be elevated for a long time. You know what? I'm going to put Palantir in here so we're talking about it, because I'm curious what the market cap is of Palantir. And let's go to market cap while we're over here. All right, top of the list, we got Apple, AMD, $280 billion, right? So $250 billion roughly, right? That's why I'm saying don't sleep on it. If we take a look at Palantir, Palantir? Let's see here. Oh, wait, I put it in shares, market cap. Scroll over to the right. Here's the market cap. We have Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta, not surprised. MasterCard's right behind there, Exxon. And then Palantir. Wow, Palantir has surpassed AMD, surpassed Qualcomm. And it's right up there with Exxon. It's almost, almost $360 billion. A top 20 market cap. Yeah, I could see that at $360 billion. It's just hard with the valuation. That's the only problem I have with Palantir. All I'm going to say is just be careful if you're in it, all right? But trust me, I get the importance of the company. I know what they're doing, especially from a Department of Defense, not only here in the U.S., but they got contracts all around the world. Yeah, Palantir is the bomb. I'm not going to disagree with that. And if you're comfortable to get into it, hey. Now here we got Microsoft. They report. Apple reports. Let's look at the growth rate earlier. We got positive on the reports, positive on both. Amazon positive. Meta 16%, 21% on the earnings here. I like that. And I think I don't know. I got big aspirations for Meta. I think Meta's going to do big things. Even if they, say they beat earnings, revenue, whatever, they have spent so much money on AI talent and trying to steal time from other people, I think it will be easy for Meta to get investors enthused on the conference call. When it comes to forward guidance, right? Can you view the market cap on your mobile app? Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, when you click on a stock, you might have to just scroll to the bottom where it has like all the other indicators, like the RV, the value, all that stuff. It should be closer to the bottom when you scroll down. I'm up 785% with Palantir. So, hey, I'm not gonna be mad at Palantir. All I say is the valuation concerns. Not even from a VectorVest perspective, but any article when it talks about PE ratios and stuff, it's overvalued. So that's the only warning I throw here. I stick to the trend line. I see the upward trend line, 20-day EMA, 40-day EMA, something like that. Ride it out. Wouldn't be in a big rush to sell it. And look, it's 157, slightly down today. Hey, rock and roll. Valuation 16, relative value. Again, this looks at long-term price appreciation potential here. 39%, 26% on the earnings here. I mean, is all the good stuff that Palantir has going on for it already baked into the price, though? That's kind of my concern. So, again, we'll see what happens here with Palantir. AMD, 36 and 27%. Actually, these are the two highest in the list here. And then this one, ARM. And look, investors are willing to pay a premium for ARM. AMD, now it's trading at a premium. Investors are willing to pay for it. And then obviously Palantir willing to get paid for a premium as well. We value the stock at $16. 785 cents could become 785 in an eye blink. That is very true, Tabula. Very true. Same. Just be careful for it. High growth, yes, they're all high growth stocks. And again, I've been saying it, as long as we don't have a recession and we're talking about interest rate cuts and the potential for interest rate cuts and strengthen the economy, that's good, right? Because normally when we get interest rate cuts, there's some kind of recession looming or something, it could spook the markets, right? But right now, I'm getting excited because I don't see much spook in the markets. The tariff thing, the dust is kind of settling there, and kind of between the 10 and 20% range for most markets. So yeah, I mean, I see this shaping up good for growth stocks, right? Obviously, I know the MTI is elevated right now. We could get a pullback, but just generally speaking, going forward, I think growth stocks are going to be a great route to go if we do get into more interest rate cuts. Let's see here. We got Chevron. This is Friday. The oil is Friday. Again, if you're holding semiconductors, a lot of big names here. And then today, the only one on the list today was going to be Nucor. It's got a buy rating right now. Overvalued. Investors just willing to pay a premium here. And negative sales growth rate, negative earnings growth rate. I don't see the hype there. I know there's a lot of news and acquisitions with U.S. Steel and Nippon. Nucor made some news as well. So maybe that's what kind of got investors enthused here. But otherwise, you're paying a premium for it. And as of right now, it's still in an uptrend. So just focus on the trend. All right, let's graph these. Just see if there's any opportunities real quick. Look at that, Microsoft. That's good. And the valuation ticking up as well. Look at the earnings per share on the rise. Growth rate is faltering, is now at 15%. We go to 6 months here. Now that looks good. There's the retest, boom. Kind of a retest. We're going off this retest here. We're down day. Looks like we're making our way back to that 20-day EMA. It's still overvalued, right? So as long as it's rocking and rolling above that 20-day EMA, hey, ride it out. I'm not mad at it. Otherwise, again, just from a valuation perspective, I do like the earnings here. I do like the earnings on the rise, so I'm going to be optimistic on that. Here's Apple. Again, another overvalued Mag 7 company. You can see Apple now trending above the 20-day EMA. Looks like you're seeing a little bit of weakness right now in the last few days. This is my resistance zone I have here from about, was it 214, 218. So if you're in it, hey, we saw one rejection, and right now we're kind of flatline right there. If you're not in it and you're looking for confirmation, this is the level I'd like to see to break. Yeah, CLS does report today after the close. Thank you for that, Bill. But yeah, Apple, if it breaks above this, that thing could go. And when I got my next line up, was it? Oh, my eyes aren't getting any better. 238. That could have some little room to run there. Look at the earnings per share on the rise. Growth rate and earnings also on the rise over the last 6 months. 9%, 5% respectively. Let's just call a spade a spade. We know what the concern is here with Apple. It's their supply chain. It's their distribution. It's China. It's India. What deals are going to be made? What guidance can they give on when it comes to that, the tariff situation, right? That's what it comes to Apple. This can get caught in the crosshairs of that tariff thing with China real quick. So that's my only concern with Apple. Other than that, it's overvalued, but from a technical perspective, and it's Apple, it is trending up right now. Here's Amazon, rocking and rolling, 232. My mom's still holding Amazon. I got her into that a while ago. I think it was back around 115 bucks. But look, every time this retest at the 20-day EMA, a nice little pivot up, right? So right now I got a gap between here and the 20-day EMA. So I'm not a buyer right now. I want to get a little bit closer to that 20-day EMA. But again, as long as it runs up, as long as it's got a strong buy rating, hey, I like it. As far as earnings, we got 26%, sales growth rate 9%, earnings per share on the rise here. Earnings per share comes in what? 668, the forecasted earnings. I like it. Now Amazon is overvalued. So this is an undervalued Mag 7 stock. Definitely put this on your radar here. We value it at 765, currently trading 716. You see it's showing some weakness here. A little bit of a pivot right around this 20-day EMA. Could be a good opportunity here. But look, growth rate and earnings on the decline. Still 21%. It was higher than the other Mag 7 we saw so far. What's 2 times direction for AMD? Yes, AMDG and AMDL. Yes. Yeah, I do see a little weakness here, but this is interesting. This could be a good buying opportunity. But again, I don't like buying a stock before earnings unless I, maybe do a covered call against it. I know it's an expensive stock, so you'd have to have some money for that. Otherwise, look for a Facebook ETF, a Meta ETF. They've got other ETFs, cheaper ones out there. Here we got MasterCard, price action, pretty consolidated over the last 6 months, other than this little pivot to the downside here. Overvalued, earnings is on the rise, growth rate 15%, sales growth rate 14%, not bad. Exxon, channeling, exactly where it was 6 months ago. Does pay a dividend though, trading at a premium. But look at the earnings per share starting to taper. That could be a warning sign, just be careful. That could be a warning sign. The earnings per share is lower than it was 6 months ago. So it's currently trading at the same price, but you're getting less earnings per share. Here's Palantir. And you see we're in this little ascending channel I've been talking about. Look what it's probably going to do. Pivot right back off of that channel, right? Now, if it breaks out to the upside of this channel, happens to be, it's probably going to pick up some momentum real quick, right? As of right now, it is just bouncing in this channel. Right now, we're at the top of this channel. So I'd be, if you're playing this, at least in the short term, at least as a swing trade kind of thing, I'd be more worried about protecting profits since you're at the top of the channel than buying, right? All right, see here. But Palantir looks good. Earnings per share on the rise. Growth rate earnings on the rise. I like it. Here's Chevron. Again, overvalued. Price action diverging away from evaluation. Value is actually on the decline. Price action actually on the decline too over the last 6 months. Earnings per share on the decline. Growth rate is flat. Negative 6%, negative 1%. Let's go to a year chart. It's just doing a whole lot of nothing with some volatility in between, right? And you can see we're kind of like right in the middle of the range of Chevron. Here's AMD, and look at AMD, broke out to the upside. That momentum is picking up here. Boom. That's what I was saying with Palantir. If you see a breakout of an ascending channel, that means that momentum really has the potential to pick up here. But look at this full body candlestick. I like it. If you see a couple up days and it start to pull back, just think it's probably going to retest on the top of this channel if I had to guess. So, and then next, and it's surging right before earnings and on the news. I mean, I like everything I see about the stock. Qualcomm, look, value on decline, price action on decline. All these semiconductors are rocking and rolling, and Qualcomm is doing a whole lot of nothing the last 6 months. So I'm not going to get excited about it. if it does jump up to the upside, I'm not going to be surprised just because of the consolidation. And I'd probably put that gap up around here, around 177 to 182. I would be more inclined of it gapping up than gapping down. But if it does gap down pretty severely, I also got a line here around 130, 124. Just throwing that out there. Rising earnings. But look at this, the RT, lower lows, lower highs. So it's showing some weakness in this trend. But again, I don't know, I just have the feeling that it's going to gap up. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to gap up, but don't hold me to it. We'll find out. ARM, I see it diverging away from that 20-day. Look at that. Ooh, that's not a good sign. It broke the trend line, retested it. Actually, let's go to 1 month here. Let's go over here. I want to see what the... Okay, so we did get a new high. That's a good sign, though. But just be careful, because now we retest it from bottom, see some rejection here. Could just be hovering below it. But yeah, ARM, not too concerned right now. This would be my one concern, but it's right back up there with the trend line. Valuation actually on the decline. Growth rate and earnings on the decline. Earnings per share on the decline. I don't like any of that. I don't like any of that. You see last time it got into this level here, sold off pretty quickly, right? So if you got into this, especially, sub $100 or around $100, you're up pretty big. My first warning sign, breaking the trend line, and you got lucky if you're still holding because it decided to go back up. Just be careful. Just be careful on that one. Here's Lam Research. Was a great undervalued play here, especially coming out of that 20-day EMA. Fresh buy rating undervalued. Saw some weakness, but hey, getting back above that 20-day EMA. We saw several retests here at it. So this could be presenting a buying opportunity around earnings. But again, earnings here, is, what was earnings? Tomorrow, I believe. And if we take a look at the earnings data, hey, 16%, sales growth rate 24%. I like the fact that sales growth rate is outpacing the earnings. We've got rising forecasted earnings per share. Doesn't look like a bad company at all. And it was undervalued, but now, it's fairly valued. It's close to our valuation, slightly over. Cadence Design Systems, they report today after the bell. Rocking and rolling, lower left, upper right. Buy rating, look at the earnings per share. That's a turnaround story. Was trending down, now trending higher. Just don't like the valuation there. And here's Nucor. Greatly overvalued, but hey, it's a momentum play. So as long as it can continue that momentum to the upside, as long as it stays above that 20-day EMA. And honestly, just, if you see a strong buy rating, hey, as long as it holds that buy rating, nothing to worry about, right? But if you see it lose it and go to a hold, then maybe put it on your cautionary tail, right? And again, depends what your strategy is. Are you long-term or are you more of a swing trade, right? All right. All right, I'm going to go to your picks. Don't put them in yet. Hit the like button. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Hit that like button. We're going to go to industry. Actually, let's just do sector. I want to take a look at defense. It's approaching that 20-day EMA. Just be careful. I mentioned this on Friday's video. Bearish divergence here. Price action went higher. RT went lower. Let's see here. I want to look at, let's go to industry. All right, Joey, how many likes do we have? 53. All right, you get 6 stocks. Don't put them in quite yet because I want to, where's it at? Mining. All right, there it is. Remember I said have some patience if you're thinking about the gold. And honestly, with the tariff deals shaping up, it may not be the place to be, but the next buying opportunity could be here real soon on this trend line here on this dip. So just want to put that on your radar. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go over here. customer picks. All right, the next 6 stocks come across the comment section. Go ahead and put them in. Next 6 stocks will be the ones we break down. Just signed in. Like the new mic. What is Joey? He's right here in the background. All right, we got Prim, P-R-I-M, R-E-M-X, CNC. Thank you, Tabula, because I'm going to start pulling a Glenn. Glenn's getting a little strict. He's getting, I'll just say strict about it. All right, I think that's 6. Let's see what 6 we got here. Let me scroll over to the left. Oh, Prim, interesting. Van Eck, Rare Earth. Okay, Netflix. Centene. Again, Rare Earth, I will say this, when we hear things like China deal, stuff like that, China talks, good news, usually those rare earth stocks, UAMY, which is the critical mineral side of things, drop a little bit, right? They can create good buying opportunities. My whole thing has been, even if we make a deal with China and get some rare earths in the short term, we've already opened up Pandora's box, and not just me, but the U.S. government, the Department of Defense, they're making lots of strides. I think antimony, they're building a second magnet thing. They got MPs getting permits. A lot of these companies, they're pretty much fast tracking their growth, right? Because of supply chain, national security. So let's see here. All right, value. Where can we get some value? Look at that, CNC. Oh wait, shoot. Auto fit. There we go. Centene Corp. Sell recommendation. $27 here. It's got a lot of value. Actually, all of these stocks have great long-term price appreciation. Obviously, the ETF can be flattened out here. I punted CNC the other week after its drop. Let's see here. Safety. Not a lot of safety there. RT. Ooh, had a big drop. Forecasted data. Actually looks like a really good list of stocks here. Our valuation. Why did Centene drop? Anybody know? Was it earnings last week? Was it like forward guidance, or did they miss? Let's graph these out real quick. Oh yeah, no bueno. And look at the value. As soon as CNC lost 50%, yeah, I see that. Look at the valuation as well. Let's zoom in here. Let's do a 3-month time span. Here, this was probably, is this earnings, if I had to guess? No. What was the news? Reduced Medicare payments, BBB Medicaid. So is this tied? This is tied in with the whole UNH thing, because isn't that like the same issue, the Medicaid benefits and all that good stuff? Oh man, I ain't buying no dip with this stuff, right? Because like UNH, you had an investigation. Who knows? There could be an investigation coming out with this shortly. Who knows? But I don't like this space right now, and you can see it's just hitting new lows, but well below the 20-day EMA. Even the value even dropped of the company. Value was at $80, and then today 65. So dropped 15 on 85 or 80. So that's about a 20% drop in the valuation too, based on the data we get. Look at the earnings per share drop, earnings growth rate drop shortly after as well. I'm not liking any of this. I'm not liking the dip at all. Let's see here. Let's go way. Whoo. We had to go way back in time to get some levels. Yep, I'm not surprised it stopped right here because we got these 3 touches. I'm going to say that as more of a technical analysis drop than anything. I wonder if there's a touch from the bottom on there at some point in time. And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Yeah, I would say it just dropped right here. It's looking for a level of a support just based off of these prior lows here. But yeah, I'm going to put this in the UH category. And if you want to mess with it, that's on you. But I'm not of the mindset to. No, started buying small position after drops. Again, just be careful, Michael. Just be careful, because UNH kept dropping. And Maybe we'll take a look at UNH. CNC hurts my, yeah, that's not what I want. This is what I want. I want stocks that are rising in price, right? Why do I want to catch falling knives when I got stocks in the database that are making money? This is an example here. Look, it's so simple. Value on the rise, price action on the rise. Undervalued, trading above the 20-day EMA. Buy rating, rising growth rate earnings, rising earnings per share. Look at this. Everything about this looks good. This is like a poster child of what type of stock you should have, right? It looks good. So I don't know who gave me this stock. There's no reason for concern. And I don't know if even if you're swing trading it, it's above the 20-day EMA. And I don't know what your profit target was, but it was what, $50 here. Now it's at 91. So I don't know how lucky you were when you got into the dip here. But just don't forget to take profits along the way. Remex. So again, look at this. China deal in the news, right? They're talking right now. Boom, it's down, right? So again, and look how far overextended from the 20-day EMA it is, right? So maybe it just needs a breather, this space in general. Some of these rare earths. I know MP was just like a wild, it was just going up like a rocket. Ryan, you convinced me. We'll look at ANDG or AMDI. Maybe I should do an AMD video since the earnings is next week. You know what? You convinced me, Bill. It doesn't take me long. You don't have to twist my arm too hard to do an AMD video. Thursday, Semiconductor Thursday is probably going to be AMD. And what I'm thinking I'll do for that is maybe I'll put together a watch list. And I think Glenn actually did I think he did an old video on low-cost ETFs. And maybe I'll do, we'll analyze AMD, talk about it for earnings, but then look at other alternatives for cheaper ETFs in some of these big tech names, right? Or leveraged ETFs. There's all kinds of them now, for Palantir, Broadcom. And if you don't know what they are, just Google them. They'll pop right up. If you want to, if you're looking at, Broadcom and it's too expensive, just, Broadcom ETF, AMD ETF, NVIDIA ETF on Google. It'll pull it right up for you. No problem at all. And then just put in the VectorVest 7 system, put in a watch list, and good to go. Ryan, you should do a video on forever stocks, steady stocks that you can buy and safely forget about. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all, Tabula. And a lot of those forever stocks might be ETFs as well now. Those tend to be the bigger companies, right? No such thing as forever stock. That's kind of what I was thinking, Sika. I'm a trend follower. There's good stocks, but you want to be on the right side of the trend, right? What is a Tabula? Give me an example of a forever stock. Ruler stocks, nice lower left, upper right. Ruler stocks is a good one. We got the search for that too, so that'd actually be a good idea for a video. We can incorporate some unisearch tips along the way. Maybe we can build upon the ruler stock search. That's a good idea, Roger. And maybe Tabula, I can call it O'Reilly. Your mom's favorite. What's going on with O'Reilly? I forgot. Yeah, I think she owns O'Reilly. It was either O'Reilly or Advanced Auto Parts. I forget which one. Maybe a little bit of both. But yeah, as far as CLS, hey, you got some great value here. Just know now the price is baked in, right? Now investors willing to pay a premium. It's electronic, still above the 20-day EMA, actually diverging away from it a little bit. This is my level of support here in case it breaks the 20-day EMA. But hey, rising earnings per share, growth rate 28%, sales growth rate 20%. I'll rock with it. We got Netflix here. Again, it broke the 20-day EMA, showed weakness. Now it's pulling back here. If I had to guess, just a little swing high up here, and that might be what it's trying to catch right now, is this from this swing high. If it breaks this, 1,063 is my next level. Just keep that in mind. It's just overvalued right now. Investors paying a premium, and I'm not surprised because of the whole tariff situation as well. You can see the stock just rocking and rolling pretty much most of the year here. you know, they've been pretty insulated from kind of tariff situations. Dr. David Paul once said that all trades end badly. It's just a matter of time. Yes, Tabby. That's why I don't like forever, like the idea of forever stocks. You know, even Glenn was of the mindset, you know, buying a stock and just forgetting about it can be dangerous. It's not necessarily what we do here at VectorVest. I just closed my long-term holding in KKR up 940%, but too many years. What's too many years, bro?
But took many years.
Oh, but took many years. Oh, yes, I could see that. IBM, forever stock, the forever stock of the 1980s, GE. It's just saying, it's because these forever stocks end up being the big names, right? Like Apple. You know, I'm not sure what the cell phone market and the computer market's going to be 10 years from now. I mean, think about the rise of AI, right? So again, you know, even stocks like Apple or IBM, things can change. And well, Nvidia, I think, is in the infancy of its forever stock. Yeah, there's your forever stock, Nvidia, right? But yeah, so just yeah, I might do some ruler stocks, but I don't like the word forever because we're trend followers. You know, like here with Netflix, right? You see the trend ends in our favor. Just as an example here, the Netflix was around $975, hit a high, what, 1330, so it's up 33%, and then now just crossed below at what? The close out there was 1233, so 23% RT, just, you know, from going positive to negative, the stock was up 23% in a couple months, right? I don't have to hold on to Netflix for that. Not saying you can't hold on to stocks for a long time, and I get, you know, capital gains tax and tax purposes, but just Polaroid was my forever stock. So was Lucent Technologies. Enron, stop it. Enron. Are you still holding Enron, John? Is that why you can? You still holding Enron, aren't you, John? Just admit it. It's okay. We won't tell anybody. We won't tell anyone. All right, the Netflix, you know, again, it's just showing some weakness there. Broadcom, I mean, this thing's rock and roll. Investors are paying a premium, though. $292. Valuation here, $177, right? So it's like, do I want Broadcom at twice the valuation, or do I want NVIDIA slightly above it? I'm probably going to say NVIDIA slightly above our valuation. I'm not going to say Broadcom is a bad stock by any means. And if we do get any kind of pullback, this is kind of where I would look. Somewhere in this area was at 264. And if we get a real severe pullback, we actually got a double top here. Boom, boom. 237. So those would be my two levels on the pullback. I thought Extra was the VV choice for Stop it. Oh my God. I'm glad I was never on the Extra bandwagon. But that's it for those stocks. I mean, Broadcom's got rising. I mean, I like it. It's just, you know, with NVIDIA trading at its evaluation, why would I want to pay a premium for Broadcom when I can buy the king in the space for a fair deal, you know? Someday Google may go the way of Polaroid and the doo-doo bird. You know, Google, AI is going to, and that's the thing, AI is going to be a game changer for all these tech companies, right? And that's why all the big ones are spending a lot of money because they don't want to fall behind the curve and let, you know, another competitor, you know, the next Google or the next Apple come up, right? Ryan, tomorrow, and Spot and SoFi have earnings before the open. Oh, do they? Let's take a look at that then, since they got earnings tomorrow. We got Spot. What was it, 12:54? All right, that'd be good. Good way to end it on. We got Spotify here. Look at this. Support, retest, right? The whole way. Resistance, right? Way overvalued. Rising earnings, growth rate. I would look at their subscriber growth, right? Subscriber growth. Definitely focus on their subscriber. But look, we lost the buy rating. I'm seeing weakness, right? So I'm not going to buy a stock showing weakness just because it has earnings tomorrow. So just be careful of that, right? Here's SoFi. This was the ascending channel, just kind of like what we saw with AMD. Well, like I showed you, Palantir still in it, but AMD broke above, saw a lot of momentum. Palantir breaks above that ascending channel, we probably could see a little parabolic move or something like that. Jumps up, but it's starting to roll over now. I wouldn't be surprised if it tried to hold a level of support here, right? This 20-day EMA. You can see the swing low coming in here from this bottom wick here. Apple doesn't excite me. Yeah, penny-wise, Apple doesn't really excite me either. And it's just a lot of risk when it comes to tariffs with Apple. But this one looks good. Both of these stocks are overvalued. Let's see here. Growth rate and earnings 39%, 14. Earnings per share 40 cents. While Spotify earnings per share 11.25 earnings per share. Growth rate and earnings 41%, and the sales growth rate 12%. Of these two stocks, just not off the well, maybe even the price action, I like Spotify better, just going off these VectorVest indicators here. I know price action showing weakness, but as far as the forecasted data, I like it. On the way to get Apple moving again is if they drop some crazy AI news in their earnings call. It's been lackluster the last few years. I mean, oh my God, they're picking on Apple probably a couple times a week on CNBC as far as how much they're lagging when it comes to AI developments or AI announcements. All right, let's go back over to the home page here, see what we got. All right, still pretty flat, lackluster. That's kind of what I'm expecting the next 2 days, okay? Next 2 days. Apple is in the Stone Ages. Oh, man, Apple, poor Apple. But, yeah, they really did drop the ball when it comes to AI, but they've got a lot of money. We'll see if they utilize it. Maybe they're waiting to see how to deploy their cash in a better, more effective way. Maybe learn from some of their competitors before just going all in. But again, Bill, you want 5 more stocks? All right, how about this? 2 stocks, first 2 stocks coming across. That would be your bonus stocks today. We're going to do 2 stocks. All right, we got C. Oh, shoot, I done deleted it. All right, midday. All right, 2. We got C and Yeti. Just use ChatGPT and call it a day. Oh man, we were playing with ChatGPT last night. It was pretty funny. It's crazy what you can do on there. All right, so we got Citi, buy holding. Both of these stocks are showing value right here. We take value divided by price. Since they have above 1, it's favorable. Look, price action below value, price action below value. Buy ratings on both of these positions here. RV 1.25. Sales growth rate 1 and 15, 3 and 4%. Nothing spectacular there. Safety not there. RT, so they're both got trends here. Let's graph them all. Look at the valuation here, just going right up to our valuation. Even the value itself starting to rise here. Strong buy rating. Yeah, it's a little extended from the 20-day EMA, so I wouldn't chase it right this second. But if it does start to pull back and you see some, some nice pivots, could present itself. But overall, I mean, look at the earnings here. Earnings growth rate coming at 15%, was negative. Even the earnings per share coming in at $8.28. I like this overall. Yeti, value on the decline, price action on the decline, right? You see it started right here, value declining, price declining. But look what we got here. Value rising, price rising. This is like the very infant stage of this pattern, right? We got the strong buy rating. Now, if you wanted to get closer to that 20-day EMA, wait for retest. Not going to be mad at it. If you decide to jump in, just stay disciplined. Make sure you got a stop in place. But look at the growth rate on the decline. Comes at 4%. Sales growth rate, just 3%. Nothing crazy. And the earnings per share on the decline. Yeah, you're getting some value here, but the value's on the decline. I just like the fact that this is very infant stage of value rising, price rising. As long as that pattern continues, price on the rise, or sorry, value on the rise, price action above this 20-day EMA, I like it. And look, even the earnings per share starting to turn around a little bit. This could be a little comeback. This is actually a good little pick. Thank you for ever put Yeti in the mix here. All right, everybody, it's 1 o'clock. I got to record a video for 6 p.m. tonight, and I got a meeting with Joey and the team this afternoon. I'm not sure what tonight's topic is going to be. We got to figure out something, though. Might do, because AMD is going to be there. Let me see what's moving. I'm going to play around with the VectorVest software for a little bit. We'll get some good fish for you guys. Because like I said, with all of the economic, with the earnings data, I'm more optimistic on this information this week than pessimistic. So maybe, just getting some good stocks to have on your radar in case the market, wants to push up for another little bit of rally here. How hot is it? Yeah, woo, man, it was 106 yesterday. We've had heat warnings like crazy here. I know you guys are all around the place, but yeah, here in the south, it was 106 yesterday. My cousin sent me an alert. The real feel, or the feel temperature was 120 in Charleston. Seeking, you had snow. Where are you at? Up in Alaska? You had snow last week. Yeah. It was, it's been rough down here. So don't come to North Carolina right now. That's my only advice before I leave. I'd wait a couple weeks before you come down here. Maybe just skip us completely and keep going to Florida or the Bahamas, because it's hot right here. All right, everybody, enjoy your afternoon. Again, if you want to help Glenn and his family, just VectorVest.com/Glenn. Send him a prayer, most certainly. Everyone else, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Keep your eye out for the alert. It'll be out at 6:05. The alert will hit, and tonight's 6 p.m. video. Other than that, Wednesday, we've got interest rate decision. We've got big earnings, so make sure to check us out on afternoon market action. I'll see you guys there. Have a good afternoon. Bye.